Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. It is another all new news video that we've got in store for you today. We've got some big headlines from the world of football that have been trending and flying around the past day or so. And of course, this is where I bring it all together and talk about them. But before we go any further, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things are always and would be greatly appreciated. But for now, let's get into some of the biggest headlines from the world of football. We're going to begin with this whole Jude Bellingham saga that has been spiraling, snowballing, gaining momentum over the past couple of days, as today it's been revealed that the German FA have fined the young superstar. The rising Borussia Dortmund star has been hit with a €40,000 fine, but has avoided suspension following his comments in a post-match interview following Dortmund's defeat to arch rivals Bayern Munich at the weekend. The England midfielder was clearly upset and angry over the performance of referee Felix Zweier. I hope they're pronouncing that name right, and hit out at him after the game in the comments that he made in his interview. The 18-year-old highlighted the two big penalty calls that were made during the game, one that went against Dortmund, whilst the other was awarded in favour of Bayern. Bellingham said after the game, "You give the referee that has match fixed before the biggest game in Germany, what do you expect?" As he was referring to obviously an incident that happened back in 2005 with this referee, in which saw him receive a 6-month suspension for, as you'd guess, and as Bellingham said, helping in a match-fixing scandal. The German FA has since decided to fine the young superstar €40,000, but have not suspended him for what they deemed to be called unsportsmanlike conduct, and Dortmund are unwilling and not going to be contesting that kind of punishment. However, it's still being said that despite obviously the German FA dealing with Bellingham's comments, it is still open for a police investigation, with Bellingham possibly facing charges of defamation over his comments of the referee. First of all, I've got to say that I am impressed that Bellingham did his research on this referee to know about his misconduct back in 2005, where Bellingham would have only been 2 years old, let me add. So impressive that Bellingham did his research into that. Secondly, I quite like the unusual post-match interview of this nature. A player giving his honest opinion like this, unfiltered, just saying it how he sees it. We're so used to players coming out and handling the media like robots kind of thing. We're all used to saying that kind of thing about these kind of players. But this was a refreshing take and showed a rather different side to Bellingham that I felt that we haven't really seen before. And I quite liked it, in all honesty. And finally, it is a bit mad, isn't it, that this has been taken as far as a police investigation. I get it. And I get that maybe Bellingham was a bit caught up in the heat of the moment to come out with these like spiky and kind of firing sort of comments. But at the end of the day, it's going to be interesting to see where this goes from here and what the aftermath of this is. But yes, the bottom line here is that the German FA have decided to fine Jude Bellingham for his comments. Also in the news, we've got the news that Tottenham and their squad have been hit with COVID-19. Today it's been revealed that up to 6 Spurs players and 2 members of the backroom staff of Tottenham Hotspur have all tested positive for COVID-19. Allegedly, the likes of Lucas Moura, Son Heung-min, Brian Gill, Emerson Royal, Ben Davies and Christian Romero have all reportedly tested positive for COVID-19, and that could just be the beginning, as Spurs are allegedly waiting on more results to come back from PCR tests that could show more positive results. Tottenham were preparing for their game against Rennes in the Europa Conference League on Thursday, but that match could be forced to be postponed should, of course, Spurs receive more positive tests that result in either them having no eligible goalkeeper to field for that game, or having less than 13 players available for that game, according to, of course, UEFA guidelines, which state these things in the case of positive COVID tests. As far as the upcoming Premier League games are concerned, it's being said that if Tottenham have fewer than 14 players available for those games, then them games will be postponed. However, them games are more on a case-by-case basis, and there are other variants and other dependents that obviously need to be taken into account before them bridges can be crossed and before them decisions are made. So we'll obviously have to keep an eye out on the immediate future for Tottenham and, of course, their COVID outbreak. We obviously, though, do wish everybody involved a speedy recovery. Elsewhere, last night saw Everton finally end their 8-game unbeaten run against Arsenal as the Toffees ran out 2-1 winners against the Gunners. It was clearly an emotional game for Everton, with their fans, especially, with a lot riding on this particular game, both on and off the pitch. Like I say, there have been no win in 8 games before last night. The club were being hit with big and key injuries throughout the entirety of their squad. They are in a downward spiral right now. A lot of talk had come out before this game about a planned 27th minute walkout by their fans. And yet, after all of that, their team rallied very well to be in all honesty, a below par Arsenal side, but Everton still put in a good performance and got a great result out of it anyway. Everton thought they'd open the scoring in the first half when Richarlison found the back of the net, but he was denied by VAR's interference for an offside call. What really rubbed salt into that kind of wound for Everton was the fact that Martin Odegaard went down the other end moments later and broke the deadlock for the Gunners with a fine strike. Richarlison was then denied for a second time by VAR in the second half for another offside call. However, there was no denying the Brazilian a third time as he managed to head home after Demarai Gray's strike had hit the crossbar. Gray would then go on to score an absolute stunner, an absolute incredible perler of a goal worthy of winning any game, and so it proved, as his incredible strike claimed all 3 points for the Toffees and, like I say, ended their winless run. The final whistle brought out scenes, and happy scenes at that, for the Goodison Park faithful that had obviously stayed past that alleged 27th minute walkout. Whilst for the managers, of course, the pressure is firmly back on Arsenal boss Mikel Arteta, whilst for now at least it does ease a little on Toffees manager Rafa Benitez. It's a great win for Everton overall, but their off-the-pitch issues are far from over. Also taking place last night was the FA Cup third round draw, and of course, with it being the third round, that basically signals that this is where the Premier League sides enter the competition, enter the fray. Just to go over some of the big games that came out from last night's draw, because let's face it, there are a lot of games and I'd probably be here for the next hour if I was to go through them all. Last season's winners and defenders of their domestic crown, Leicester, will kick off their defence of their FA Cup against fellow Premier League side Watford. Chelsea were drawn at home to National League side Chesterfield, a big draw there for Chelsea. Chesterfield. Liverpool will welcome Shrewsbury to Anfield, a difference to the usual tricky all-round Premier League tie that the Reds usually face at this stage in the competition every single year, it seems. Manchester City get their typically favourable draw against Swindon Town, but let's face it, that may as well be against Swindon's under-12 squad, because with all due respect, City normally get a very favourable and, albeit with all due respect, easy tie, and that's how it's proven again this year. Manchester United will face off against Steven Gerrard's Aston Villa. A lot of history there in obviously what is arguably the biggest tie from this round of fixtures to be drawn out in last night's draw. Whilst Arsenal, the FA Cup's most successful team in its history with 14 FA Cup wins in total, will travel away to Nottingham Forest to kick off what could be the road to their 15th FA Cup crown. Coincidentally, Forest and Arsenal last met in this competition back in 2018 in this exact same round, with Forest knocking out the then holders Arsenal, who were then under Arsene Wenger, of course, at the time. It promises, and fingers crossed, hopefully, will be another exciting and intriguing chapter in the long, illustrious history of the FA Cup about to be played out this year. I'd love to know your thoughts about who's going to win it this year, actually. Leave it in the comment section below as to who you think has a good shout and a good shot of winning the FA Cup this season. And finally, we're ending this video by talking about the Mohammed Salah contract saga or situation, however you want to call it. He has basically come out in recent days and has urged Liverpool management to sort out his new contract soon. We've talked about this for some time now. This has been going on for a while. It's becoming a little bit tiring, in all honesty, to talk about, and also a little bit baffling considering the season that Salah is having as to why this hasn't been resolved before now. Salah, of course, has sat back and seen a number of his fellow teammates, particularly across the summer and early part of the early stages of this season. Seen them get new contracts, have new contracts be put on the table, and have all signed new deals. And he has seemingly been next in line for a while, but as of right now, no resolution has been found on Salah's new contract. Salah has recently conducted an interview in which he reiterated his happiness where he is with the club, and also says that he wants to stay with Liverpool and that the situation is out of his hands and in the hands of Liverpool management. He stated that an agreement can be made between the two parties and that financial value shows you how much a club really appreciates you and how important you are to that club, but said that obviously his decision isn't solely based on financial matters, it is also based on his happiness. He is obviously happy at Liverpool, like he said. He wants to sign with the club. It's just a matter of whether the Liverpool management will give him that new contract or not. Jurgen Klopp, the Liverpool manager, has remained calm on this issue. He is, of course, optimistic that a deal can be sorted out between Liverpool and Liverpool's Egyptian king to commit his future, long-term future, that is, to the club going forward. However, I see it in a weird sort of way. I think that whilst I remain positive and optimistic like Klopp does, that a deal will eventually be found between the two parties, I find it incredible that he's having an absolutely phenomenal season, and it's still baffling to me that this hasn't been resolved yet, when it seems a pretty simple and easy decision to make, to give him whatever the hell he wants to make him stay with Liverpool, considering that he's been so consistent for the amount of years that he's been with the club. And of course this season he just keeps on finding new levels to be incredible, impressive, and get even better. Arguably the player of the season so far for Liverpool and the Premier League. I just find it baffling that that a decision hasn't been made on this contract yet. All I can think of is that this would make one hell of a Christmas present for all Liverpool supporters. But we'll have to wait and see. And that about wraps it up for this all New-Newz show. I'd love to know your thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions on any of the news topics that I talked about. What are your opinions on the whole Jude Bellingham situation that's brewing within the Bundesliga right now? What do you make of the COVID-19 outbreak for Spurs? What do you make of Everton's victory over Arsenal last night? What do you make of the FA Cup draw? Who are you backing this year? I'd love to know your thoughts on that. And what do you make of this whole Mohammed Salah contract situation with Liverpool? Will he sign one? Will Liverpool miss the boat on this one? I'd love to know your thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, whatever you want to call it, on any of these news topics down below in the comment section, because I'm sure they'll all make for interesting reading. Otherwise, hit that like button on the way if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this. Both things always and probably be greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch, this has been another Fletch Talks video, and I will see and speak to you all again soon. in another video.